Okay, English 8. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is your archetype essay. Basically what an archetype is, and you have your packets for this. And I will say the packets for this lens are really, really helpful because they list out a lot of the common archetypes. There was a philosopher named Carl Jung, and he basically came up with this idea that humans have this internalized narrative that exists in their brain no matter what culture they're in, no matter what society is like for them, no matter who they are. And he said that we see those internalized storylines play out in our literature, no matter what the culture is. And he would argue that's why so many different cultures have stories where there's a hero, or stories where there's a mythical hero that has some weird superpower, or why there's kind of often a mentor figure where like the old man teaches the young man, or the old woman teaches the young woman, or why in so many different cultures you see this damsel in distress. So all of those things that I just listed off are common archetypes. And basically with this lens, what you're trying to do is you're trying to see, does the author that I'm analyzing rely on these type of common patterns? So an archetype is a common pattern that's used in literature, in multiple different kinds of literature. So hero's journey, or like this idea that you go away to like do self-discovery and you're kind of thrust into this hero's quest. That's going to be an archetype of a storyline. A hero, damsel in distress, wise sage, mother figure, like the perfect innocent wife. These are all going to be common archetypes of characters. There's also archetypes of settings. So like the garden, the path, like anytime that they're on like a trail and it's symbolizing the quest, the safe small town, the like scary big city where people go to make it. Those are all setting archetypes. But what you're doing is you're looking for, okay, in this story, how does the author use these common patterns, these common tropes that I recognize from other stories or myths or fairy tales? How is the author using these to tell this story? And what do these symbols mean? And are they relying heavily on symbols to tell the story that they want to tell? So you think about some of the stories that we've read, and the one that you're going to use for your archetype lens is Young Goodman Brown. So you think about these stories that we've read, and you think about like colors and archetype of the character, like the hero and the quest and the innocent wife, and all of these pieces of this story that you see play out, like running off into the woods being kind of this scary, dangerous place. All of those things, Nathaniel Hawthorne doesn't have to explain to us because we have heard it 1,000 times. Like, we know that Young Goodman Brown's going to be our hero. We know that Faith is going to be like his innocent good wife for the start of the story. We know that he's on some kind of spiritual quest because he goes and meets up with this devil character. The devil is another great example of an archetype. So kind of the idea that we use these character tropes so that we can rely on the reader's previous understanding. For example, you think every single high school movie, they don't explain to you the backstory of the cool jock. You don't need to know all about his life to know enough about that character to understand what the author's trying to say. You see the archetype of the cool jock, and you've got it. Takes 2 seconds. I can literally just say cool jock, and you know basically what that character is going to look like, what that character is going to act like, the character traits. I say like the like angsty nerdy girl, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. So authors use these common archetypes so that they don't have to give you a ton of character background. If I was using colors as symbols, generally, like, you're going to know what those represent. I'm going to post some different slide notes and examples of different archetypes, but what you're going to do is same thing, your normal structure. You're using Young Goodman Brown. You've got an intro with a thesis, 3 body paragraphs with quotes, a conclusion. Like I said, you've got a ton of information about this in the packet, and you should have the Young Goodman Brown story is in the packet. But what you are going to do is look for those common archetypes in Young Goodman Brown and find 3 examples. Or you can find like one, you could say he's the hero or he's the innocent wife or she's the innocent wife, and find 3 examples of how that particular archetype is played out. And you could do it either way. You can either find 3 different archetypes, or you can find 3 ways that the same archetype is played out. And you're going to put that into your 5-paragraph essay. And then you only have one more thing to write. So you will be so close. Reach out with questions. I know this one can be a little bit tricky. Let me know if this is confusing. Feel free to comment on the video so that other people can benefit from your question. And I'll see you guys virtually soon.